You don't have a choice. A lot of people still treat the self-improvement, the business, things as that still as a choice that somebody just does, that you don't see that that's basically the only way to be truly free. Because when I was not living like how I was living right now, in a kind of sense, like life was easier because you can escape your feelings, your thoughts, things as such, but it actually makes life harder. Why? Because you're not truly free. Because you're living through those labels, you're living through trauma, and life is just hard in a sense that you're not truly free. You can't be who you are. Why? Because you're too afraid to show who you are. You can't do the things that you love. Why? Because you too afraid to show it. Right now there are so many people like there's a like bro, nobody really wanna be things as like a gangster, or everybody wants freedom, but not everybody has the balls to attain freedom. A year ago, I was too worried about YouTube, putting myself out there. Why? Because I was viewing myself through the world's view. I was I was worried about, okay, if I post this video, will they accept me for it or will they not? And based on those things, I made my choices. So if I was like, nah, this video is maybe a little bit too, people won't really understand it. They will judge me for it. They might label me as crazy. They might label me as weak. They might label me as whatever. So based on that, I made my choices. So if the video or whatever I was trying to do was too different from the rest, then I just stopped doing it. It was like, nah, then I won't receive validation from the world. And in that sense, I didn't have a choice. I wasn't free. Why? Because I was living my life through the life of others. I was never truly free. And that's like, you don't really have a choice. That's what I mean by it. You don't have a choice until you start being different, until you start being the person who you're destined to be. Until that, you don't have a choice. Until that, you're just surviving. And the rest of the world is surviving. And when you're surviving, you're only doing that. You're only surviving. You're just doing enough to receive some validation from the world. Just doing enough to get a salary, a paycheck, however you call it. Just doing enough to survive, to put food on the table, but you don't really have a choice. You're not really doing what you want to do. And like I said, it's not easy. People who are working a 9 to 5, there are real reasons to it. Like I said, like you might grow up in a certain situation and you don't really have a choice. You need to work that 9 to 5. But at the end of the day, it's still caused by trauma. In a sense that if you are I would even say if you are poor, you're automatically traumatized. Bro, traumatized people aren't really successful. And even I notice it right now, like, that I'm like kind of like scared to say it. Why? Because a lot of people will be like, you calling me traumatized right now? And what I mean by that is, bro, we're hardwired for survival. We're hardwired to do whatever ensures our survival. And not even our survival, but the rest of the world. But you won't focus on the rest of the world until you put basically like you stop focusing on yourself, in a sense that once you're living trauma, you're egotistical. Like I've said, I was worried about other people, but really I was egotistical. Why? Because I was thinking like, how can I receive validation from them? It was all about me basically. And yes, it might be sad, but in that sense you're egotistical. You're only thinking about, worried about, what can I do for me? What can I do to ensure my survival? Which is, survival is also like meeting those mental survival needs, such as receiving validation. We are social creatures. We all want to be accepted and things as such, but we can actually be accepted, and in a way that it's actually more genuine and more authentic. But the only way you do that is through putting the focus off yourself and directing it onto the world. And now you start creating. Why? Because now you're thinking about, it's basically like me. And not even to like brag or something, but right now I'm making a video that somebody might potentially learn from it. So in that sense, my focus shifted from me to the outside world. I'm sharing things that I actually don't feel comfortable sharing with, but I'm sharing them to teach the next person. And by doing that, you also evolve yourself, because every time you talk about those like difficult things, then all of a sudden you don't really care about it anymore. You will be like, it's only difficult because I still like see it from like a point of view where people might judge me for it. But yeah, to get back to the point, like, it's always trauma. It's always trauma that at the end of the day is what determines if somebody will be successful or not. Because once you're successful, once you're not traumatized, you feel comfortable basically like being judged. You understand it in a sense that you don't care. Why? Because you just know that the world is just, those people are just projecting their fears upon you. It actually has nothing to do with you. Nowadays, I know that everybody who judges other people, bro, deep down, we also want to be free. Why do I understand that? Because I've been there myself. I've been there myself when I saw people like making YouTube videos or doing certain things, reading books that you label them as, like, that's goofy, man, that's goofy. But deep down, you really think like, even though you're not that aware of it, you're like, but he's actually free. He doesn't really give a fuck. And like that, bro, life will become so much easier once you dissolve the trauma. Why? Because like, you will receive all the things basically that you're trying to receive in your traumatized self. And now you actually receive it, and now I'm not gonna say like you don't care about it, but it's more like in a genuine way. It's not like you're worried about it. You love like kind of receiving it, but it's like you're doing what you love. So either way, you're just gonna do it. And that's like the real reason why one is poor and one not, because one that is somebody who's poor is almost always doing something that he doesn't love doing. Why? Because he or she lacks the mental energy to actually start doing the things that they love doing and help other people. So like like once I understood that, it was like a whole new world opened up for me. All of a sudden I started realizing like, damn, that's really like what success is. Success is just people who are so comfortable with themselves that they're not worried about themselves. So it just feels right to put yourself out there and help the next person by whatever doing it. Because like people hate on people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, but you need to understand that, like, bro, Jeff Bezos makes it possible for me to receive a book from the other side of the world. Why shouldn't he receive all the money in the world for it if he provides books to all of the world? And that's funny, because I actually really believe that people like a Bill Gates, a Jeff Bezos aren't really that money focused. Why? Because they also, bro, like if I'm right, Elon Musk made his first million when he was like 31. Before that, he was probably failing a lot, but he was doing what he liked. If he would listen to the rest, like, no, it's not gonna work out, then he would probably quit at around the age of 20. Be like, yeah, they're right. Then he would let their insecurities enter his own mind. Why? Because his own mind is not strong enough to be comfortable with himself, expressing himself in whatever way he wants. And in that sense, you will never have a choice until trauma is resolved and you're not actually that worried about how the world perceives you. And this is still, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm still like facing things that I know are trauma. But is it less than a year ago? Most definitely. Is it less than 2 years ago? Oh, hell yeah. Is it less than 3 years ago? Bro, don't even start with me. You feel me? So, like, each time you dissolve like that small piece of fake identity, right, caused by trauma, then you're just you just gain one more piece of sense of self, basically. And it's funny, like, the things are really within our vocabulary, because we always say, like, it's off my chest. And those things have deep meanings. They don't say it for no reason. So that's what I've noticed. Like, once that what I really experienced with trauma is, like, once I was worried about how the world perceives me, my heart just, I don't know, it felt like I had like a rock on my chest. Like, your heart starts beating, your body is in distress, you're just only worried about how the world perceives you, and they aren't perceiving you how you want to be perceived. That's what you're telling, bro. But really, like, the real answer is, like, they don't really care that much. But you can tell that a traumatized person. And that's why, like, bro, all that logic doesn't actually work with trauma. Because, like, what you need to do is basically like start feeling again. Feel the feelings that you've never processed. Bro, nobody is dumb. A lot of traumatized people, bro, they're also actually the smartest people. And not entirely, but like they have the capacity to be one of the smartest people, but their smartness will always come true in a sense that you know that it's just way more than that, but the trauma just keeps it on a surface level. So their smartness is not really that profound because they're just focusing on survival. So, but they are actually very smart. And now I lost what the fuck I was saying. Like, oh yeah, I know it again. So I was talking about this is crazy. This is crazy, man. So like, bro, don't skip this video away, bro. I will come back on it. So, bro, this so like, so they're smart. What up? So they're smart and this is crazy, bro. I lost it. So bro, let me just start about some other shit, and then I will probably like create like a structure of it. At least that's what I will try. So yeah, you need to start feeling again and process the things that you've never processed, pain that you've never processed, because that's what making you weak. You're not actually in pain, you're reliving pain. So that's why you think you are like overtly emotional. That's why you think that you can't handle rejection from a girl, or that's why you think you can't handle failure from a business. That's why you think you can't handle judgment from people. Why? Because you've never processed those feelings when you was a child. And that's very hard because oftentimes the surroundings wherein trauma takes place is oftentimes like a toxic household, and not even and a toxic household has nothing to do with the love that the parents have for their children. A lot of parents are loving parents, but they've never received, like, they don't know how it is to grow up untraumatized. They're not aware of it, so they're just unconsciously like mirroring their own insecurities, their own trauma within a child, even though they're just, because same with my parents, bro. My parents, they have never, I know that for a fact, and I also can basically say it for 9 out of 10 people in the world, bro. Your parents never had like a thought like, yeah, I just woke up today, I'm gonna traumatize my kids. Even if, bro, my dad also hit me, like, you feel me, he done those things, but even in those situations, it's never that, bro. It's never, at that point, my dad was just too traumatized to handle his feelings, so he just did it in a wrong way. But at that moment, that's all he could have done. And like, that's like why trauma is not that's why trauma is in a toxic household, like, because you can be traumatized, but if you never have that feeling of being safe in your family, then the trauma will never go away. And that's why A is always B, because if those people within your family traumatize you, then it's oftentimes, that's already letting you know that it's not the place where you resolve trauma, where you just heal, where it's okay to talk about, like, yeah, what I've experienced yesterday, I didn't like that. Or, bro, oftentimes kids aren't even really allowed to cry, because if they cry, then they will get something to cry about. And like, this is just basically a part of like domestic violence, right? Violence within your household. But like I've said, I'm continuing to say this. Trauma is everything that changes, that makes a lasting change within an organism, and changes it in a worse way, stops it from functioning right. So trauma is also not being seen in your family, even though your parents never hit you, or having the feeling that you needed to do extra things to be seen by your family. And in that sense, like, trauma is everywhere. And I notice it with myself, like, that it's hard for me to talk about it, because you actually have, like, it's like, even like, it's so much like kind of basically a taboo, because it's so misunderstood, that it's even hard for me to talk about it, because the world just acts like it doesn't really exist. Only people that seeing somebody get murdered in front of their face are traumatized. That's how society wants you to think. And I was never aware of my trauma. I remember growing up, and at that day I had a court. I was in court, and in the courtroom. I think that's better to say. But yeah, I was in the courtroom, and the judge was giving me my sentence, and they said, like, yeah, we also looked at your background. We noticed that, like, I don't know how you say it in English, but it's like child service, something like that, were within the household. So yeah, we see like that it used to be like hard within your family. And I was just like, what the fuck are they talking about? I was even feeling like, damn, bro, I did a good job. I've like, I got away with it in a sense that, like, it felt fake for me. I was like, I'm not even traumatized, bro. The whole time I didn't even realize what the fuck I was doing in my life. So I was just like, I'm not traumatized. What the fuck these people talking about? I was like, yeah, right. But if this is gonna ensure that I'm just gonna get out, right? That I don't need to be in my cell no longer anymore, then it's cool for me. So, but now I just look back at it and how true it was. And that's like, in my situation, I was very lucky with how my situation, because there are also judges that don't really look at those things. There are judges that will just see the person who is just in front of them and the fact that they have done so. In my situation, that was almost taking someone's life. So then they're just like reading that, like, okay, this dude stabbed somebody, so we're just gonna treat him as that. And at the end of the day, I can't even really blame them, because at the end of the day, that's the fact. The fact was that I almost took someone's life. So you can't really tell a judge that they're wrong for doing it, because the fact is on paper, yo, bro. Like, you broke in someone's house, you robbed somebody, you shot somebody, you stabbed somebody. That's the fact. But at the end of the day, it's also there was a whole story before you. A perpetrator is always a victim, just in a previous stage within his life. Because that's how criminals are made, bro. Like, you're so numb to your own feelings that you're numb to the next person's feelings. You can even really comprehend how it is to take someone's life because you don't value your own life. You don't, bro. I didn't even feel alive. I remember I'm in my classroom, I was mad at my teacher because he was talking about what do you want to be when you grow up. I was like, I don't want to be old, bro. I really said, like, I just want to die on the street. Like, I couldn't picture old me. I was just like, bro, what the fuck am I gonna do when I'm 30? All I know is, like, hanging on the streets, doing bad shit. So I was like, I can, because at the same time, I also knew, like, nah, I don't want to be old and doing those things, because that's really like a sad image. Because when you're younger and you're that, like, rebellious, then, like, it's kind of like you're like a young dude finding the way. Then it's like, it's still very goofy. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still very goofy to be sagging your pants, to be just outside, like, doing bad shit. But you're kind of like young. And bro, it's still wrong. I'm never gonna justify it, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you're young. You don't really have that much responsibility in your life. But once you're older, bro, it's really just a sad image. So yeah, I remember telling my teacher, like, bro, I just want to die, like, around 25, or like around 25. That's basically like the peak of your, like, street image. Because after that, after, like, I don't even say 25, bro. After, like, 21 or something, like, I would even say, like, after 18 or something, it's not really that cool anymore. Because now all of a sudden you're supposed to have responsibilities, but you're not a responsible person. You're not improving. You're still stuck within those things that were, like, basically cool when you were younger. And the sad thing is also, like, especially over here, like, in the Western world, like, we have, like, you could, like, the neighborhood that I live, you could see it as like basically like a hood in, like, Dutch terms, right? It's not like in America, but like I'm always saying, it's like, bro, the hood is not something about, the hood is a mentality. So a Dutch hood will be different in degree to, like, a favela or like New York, Chicago, those places, but only in a sense that there are, like, less murders. But, like, at the end of the day, the mentality behind those people are the same. Just like the acts of violence are just less. But at the end of the day, it's still the same dynamic ruling those places, which is people doing bad things out of trauma. So, but yeah, like I was saying, bro, especially over here in the Western world, because once you're living in the favela, that's all you will see. But in the Western world, bro, you can't escape, like, the good life, even though a lot of people are, like, still living mediocre. But over here, bro, like, if you walk, like, a couple blocks, then you will just see big houses and shit. So, and that's also very good to see that, because, bro, if you would live in, like one big hood that a lot of people live in, like, those places, like America, like, even, like, in the UK, places like that, but over there's also, like, less like that, because, like, gentrification is, like, everywhere. So even in America, I would say, bro, you would always see that there is a different end the life, but in like a favela, which is just like one big ass block, and you just, people don't leave that place. Then it's like okay to be like hanging around on the street. Why? Because like everybody is doing, but over here you will just be hanging around and on the street, and like people from other places visit your shopping malls, and then it's just now you just realize how goofy it actually is, because now you just realize, damn, I actually have nothing in my life. So yeah, like bro, my videos are still crazy, like in a sense that there's too much to talk about for me, bro. I don't even want to be scripturing. Yes, it would have like a clear, my video would clearly go from A, B, C, D, but it will just be goofy. It will be like, okay, yes, yes, trauma is this, and then I will be like, oh, wait, yeah, trauma is also this. Like, bro, they will just, the whole video will be goofy. So this is like very unstructured, but like, yeah. But to get back on my whole point was like, so I was younger. I couldn't picture an older self of me. That's and that's like also what like makes trauma so complicated, because in that sense you don't have like a other option. I just did never like, I don't know, like it was just like, and like I've said, even though my parents were financially good, like in a sense that I had the things that I needed. Yes, we were born poor, but and there's also like something like very like this is very important. That's why I'm saying like your financial state reflects your state of trauma, because when I was growing up, my parents had like nothing. So my parents had nothing. So but that were also the times when they were like severely traumatized, that like my dad was in jail, my mom was just like also like a wreck, even though it feels fucked up to say it, but like she was like working a lot of jobs to provide for us, like, and then later on in life they started improving themselves and they started making more money. But for me, the tone was already set, that I was already determined basically what I would be, just by being born during that time when like that trauma was so prevalent. Because I see that change within my little brothers. Like my little brother is like very different from me, and my youngest brother, like he will never like experience what we experience, like what me and my brother experienced. Not even to be like victim or something, but like he will never see that, and that's already prevalent in his behavior. Like I remember, like, bro, I was scared to tell my mom that I love her, bro. Let alone my dad, bro. I couldn't even look my dad in his eyes, because like it was just something like, you just don't feel a connection to that person. Like they're living in your house, but it's just like people that, I don't know. It's, bro, it's like, it was crazy. Like it was like they're living in your house, but do you really have a connection? Like you still love them, of course, but not like, I don't know. It's fucking crazy. That's like, and that's just, I've seen that with my brother. Like he is 15 and he is able to joke around with my dad. When I was 15, I couldn't do that. I was just afraid of my dad. We just didn't click. It was just a lot of problems, let alone when I was younger. So that was just like, I was just living within this household, but it didn't feel like home. That's like, that's what I'm continue to say, bro. If you are, if that tone is set within your first stages of life, then it won't matter how well off you will be financially later on in life. Because like that, bro, that early childhood development is everything. Yes, it can be reversed. That's what I'm doing. That's what y'all will be doing, right? But it's just so much different. But in a sense, I do believe that it's better because I can give people both, bro. So I can relate to like trauma. And when you're never like traumatized, you can never relate with. But you wouldn't actually care because you would just probably already be rich or some shit like that. But that's just a quick example. But like, yeah, it's kind of maybe like better because like, because I always had like a feeling that I needed to survive. Like I'm like kind of okay with like violence and things like that. Not that it's good, but I'm not afraid to like, if I need to. And I'm not even gonna say not afraid. I can be afraid to be like in a fight, but it's never to a point that I would let somebody do me something. Because just, bro, like that's all I've had to do when I was growing up. So like no matter that, so like, yeah, that's just like all you had to do when you were growing up. So you're not really afraid of surviving. Yeah, you can't be afraid of it, but you just have to do it. It's not really like that. So, and that was really funny, bro. I was afraid on the streets, but I would still like, not even, bro, this is not me bragging, but I would still take your life. I would still kill you. And I would, bro, I would be the afraid most, like, I would be so fearful, but I just had like, I had no choice, basically. That's how it felt. Like you have no choice. Like, yes, physically you can walk away, but like this comes back to it, like, bro, if you're mentally traumatized, it doesn't matter what your physical state is. The mental plane determines what the fuck will happen in your life. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter if you're physically well off, if you're physically, like, that's an example that I've gave in my previous video. There are dudes killing people, their parents are millionaires. But if you're mentally traumatized, bro, that's all you will know. So yes, your parents can give you for your 18th birthday a motherfucking Lamborghini, but you would still be traumatized mentally. And that will just determine how you will walk through life. Because yes, in those times where I resorted, like, I don't even know if that's the right word, but when I chose for violence, it was always in a sense that you couldn't do anything. Why? Because if you walked away, you were weak. So, and weak would mean that the next person would see you as weak. And like I've said, that's what you're escaping when you're trauma. You're escaping the feeling of the world thinking that you're weak, that you're this or that, the judgment from people. You need to prove the world. Why? Because you don't feel comfortable with yourself, so you need to derive that from other people. So you need to basically to show the world how tough you are. And not even like, bro, that's crazy. Like, you can probably only understand it once you're out of it. When you're not entirely out of it, because probably if I would see this video like a year ago, then I would understand it. But like 3 years ago, when you're so deep in it, bro, like then you're not gonna understand this. And like I've said, I still believe there are situations where you need to choose violence, but that amount will just drastically lower when you're just feeling comfortable with yourself, and you don't feel like the need to prove yourself against the world. Because I've got in fights for like somebody looking, or, and even like I said, even though I was in that situation afraid, because bro, I was never confident, but it's just like I'd rather like physically hurt you than that you think that you had one up on me. Why? Because probably when I was growing up like that, if that person thought about you like that, that would mean that you will receive no love, like within your family or something like that, right? So in that sense, like I had like, you have like a choice physically. You can walk away from the fight as long as, bro, I would never tell a person like, if somebody like tries to hurt you like physically, you should never walk away. That's how I'm feeling. If he really wants to. But like somebody just telling words and shit, bro, that's really not that important. Especially if they're not doing it in phase range. Basically, once somebody's in phase range, then it's already like, now he is like posing a threat. But when he is just talking from the other side of the street or just looking at you, what the fuck does that have to do with you? But it won't feel like that for you when you are mentally so disturbed that you need to, bro, you need to prove him how tough you are, because otherwise it will just be turmoil within yourself. Bro, I've seen the video of Nipsey, the dude that shot Nipsey Hussle. And I don't know if y'all know Nipsey Hussle, but he was a rapper. And the story is like that. He walked in the store and Nipsey Hussle told him, nah, get out, you're a snitch. And the dude that left, like his name was Eric Gold or something like that, he left and he went to another store, and that's where he was, camera footage caught him, right? So he was seen on the camera footage, and he was just walking around, and people were saying like, yeah, this is somebody that was hired to do this. But I don't believe that, bro. Why I believe he killed that man is because he couldn't handle the judgment of that because he identified himself with a gangster at that moment. Why? Because he needed to do that to survive in that situation, because he was too traumatized to be himself. So the gangster image was all he had. And Nipsey also posed a threat to his gangster image. He was telling him, no, you're not a gangster, you're a snitch. So that dude was walking around and he was like, hell nah, bro. His heart was beating out of his chest. Why? Because the only sense of self that he had, which was the gangster image, fell away. And physically, he was good. He could walk away. He could go to his house and watch Netflix. But it will never feel like that if you need to prove the world how tough you are. Otherwise, you don't have that sense of self. You don't feel important. And this is not about Eric Holder. This is about the entire reason why people kill people. Because 9.5 out of 10 times, bro, it's not somebody really, really posing a threat. It's the person is only perceived as a threat by you because he is challenging the label that you gave yourself, which is a gangster. And not even you ain't even gave that shit yourself, like consciously. It was just traumatized up on you. That's the real reason why people kill people. Not that they're killers. Yes, they might tell themselves that, like, they tell themselves that, like, consciously. That's why I say, bro, no matter how many people King Von killed, he will always just be a traumatized person. There's nothing about glorifying a traumatized person. He will just be dead at the end of the day. And that's real. Like, that's real. That's why I say it doesn't matter in what state you're physically. Your parents can be well off. You can be on the other side of the world and be on vacation, but you're too worried about the next person perceiving you as not gangster. So if you're physically traumatized and if you're mentally traumatized, then your physical state will always just reflect that trauma. No matter how much money your parents have, no matter how much money you yourself have, because why do you think these rappers go to jail? It's not because they need to do shit for the money. And that's why it's funny, because those rappers are always looking at those people like, bro, he's from the suburbs. He doesn't have to do that. But as soon as they get some money, they be the same dudes. They have physical freedom, but they still end up locked up on some stupid shit. And that's just like, bro, it's real funny, bro. Mentally, you can beat the mental aspect. That will just always be before physical creation. That's why you can also, like I said, I was reading books for 2 years, but my body was still in distress. Why? Because my mind was in distress. My identity was in distress. Like, that's, bro, like, trauma is something serious. And this is just how it's prevalent in, like, basically like the culture, however you want to call it, where I grew up in. So, and that's like funny because there is really not a culture, but they make you believe that there is a culture, but there's nothing to a culture. It's just trauma. Like the gangster culture doesn't really exist, bro. At the end of the day, it's just people just traumatized. That's really it. Like, yes, no matter how, I will continue to say this. And when I was looking up to those people, it also felt for me like that. It gave you a sense of self that, oh, they know me. They know that I'm capable of hurting somebody. They know that I'm capable of killing somebody. But at the end of the day, bro, you're not shit. You don't have nothing. Why? Because at the end of the day, you still need validation from the world. Yes, King Von was a very tough dude, but at the end of the day, he still needed to rap about the bodies that he had to receive validation from the world. I bet that if King Von was alive and he seen it, he would kill you. Probably. Why? Because I'm challenging his belief now. I'm telling King Von that he's just a traumatized person. So I'm going against the identity that gave him his everything that he basically has. And this is not to bash him, because at the end of the day, we're just all that, bro. When you're traumatized, you don't have a sense of self. Now, I need to probably rephrase that. It doesn't feel like you have that sense of self. Why? Because he's buried under like the fake, because it's buried up under the fake identities. Because at the end of the day, bro, that human part of you, like that real self about you, is still within you. You just need to delete all those layers from your mind. And like, bro, this video is like, bro, and like this video is like, I could basically label it as the same thing, but like now it's just a different story, but the metric, like the dynamic, is still the same. And that's all that trauma is. It might be prevalent there's just a different story to the person, but at the end of the day, it's just trauma. So I will continue to talk about the same person, about the fake identity, about the same topics, fake identity, not having a sense of self, needing to receive validation from the world. Because at the end of the day, that's just that. No matter if you're a nice guy, no matter if you're a gangster, no matter if you're whatever you tell yourself you are, that's just what you are behind those fake identities. So yeah, this video is already getting too long, but bro, let me know in the comments what you think about it. What can I improve about my video? Drop some hate, like if you want to do that, you feel me, you're free to do that. So drop some love, that will be like way more nice. But if you want to show some hate because you don't know how to show love, bro, that's also okay. You can also do that, so that's okay, bro. Yeah, that was really my video, man, bro. And bro, I feel like a gangster right now because I know that gangsters don't exist, which will and that's real funny. That's why you will be so much more comfortable with yourself and so much more secure within yourself when you're no longer living through those fake identities. So yeah, that was my video for today, man. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. And stay improving, man. Stay being uncomfortable. Stay challenging those fucking fake layers of mind, all those fake identities, whatever you tell yourself that you are, that they are fake. Challenge those beliefs. Bro, be very uncomfortable because you don't have a choice. If you will be comfortable, your life will be uncomfortable. Or you can make the choice to feel uncomfortable, but your life will actually become more comfortable. That's just what it is, man. Stay grinding. Do whatever you're gonna do, bro. You don't have a choice, so yeah, you can tell yourself, you can, bro, this dude is like me, I'm gonna continue to be a gangster, and walk out of your house and, no, I'm in it for the streets, I'm in it only for the money, man. I'm only in it for the money, bro. You're not. You're not. At the end of at the end of the day, you're not. You're not, bro. So, bro, do whatever you're gonna do, man. It's cool, bro. I mean, I ain't even gonna tell you must, bro. It's okay to live through that fake identities of mind, but when your life will be just shitty, bro, it's on you. That was my video, man. Stay grinding. I know this video was long as fuck, bro. Probably nobody will get to the end, but let me tell you something, bro. I don't really give faux fucks. Feel me? I might lie. This might now just be my own feeling of trauma, to not be vulnerable, not wanting to feel vulnerable, not want to show that I care, but I actually care, bro. I might cry if nobody see this video, bro. No, I'm lying, man. I'm lying, but yeah, yeah. Feel me? That was just this video, man. Bro, all I hope is that you don't. All I hope is that you just don't tell yourself that you're all these fake things. And that's sad, bro. It's sad, but even though nobody will love you, at the end of the day, I will love you, bro. or sister, whoever you are, like, I will love you. You feel me? It's okay. But it's still on you if your life comes out shitty. I'm out.